So here's the HEROES Act. This is the act that passed, right? So we talked a little bit about it before it passed with Dylan, and now it passed. HEROES Act passes the House. It omits $2,000 in recurring stimulus checks and other notable items. Last night, the House of Representatives passed the Health and Economic Recovery Omnibus Emergency Solutions Act, or the HEROES Act, by a vote of 208 to 199. The sweeping $3 trillion legislation was dismissed by Senate Republicans, with Majority Leader Mitch McConnell deriding it as a big laundry list of pet priorities. That's what it was supposed to be. Guess what? Pet priorities didn't make it in to Nancy Pelosi's bill. Well, it included many provisions seemingly disconnected from stabilizing the economic effects of the coronavirus pandemic, such as ones related to cannabis banking. I actually think that's a good deal. Who cares? That should have been done a long time ago. It's a legal product. Why can't cannabis dispensaries where people get medicine use the banking system that's propped up by my goddamn tax dollars? That should have been in there. For a messaging bill meant to outline Democratic priorities, the HEROES Act is notable for what it omits. That's right. Now let's get to it. Spearheaded by Representative Pramila Jayapal and the Congressional Progressive Caucus, the Paycheck Guarantee Act would have guaranteed 100% of coverage of workers' wages up to $90,000 a year. Not in. Did you Steph, did you hear all the Democrats screaming about that?
I didn't see anybody say shame.
I didn't see anybody wave their arms.
Shame.
No.
I saw something about Tim Ryan making a stand for helping people, but I didn't see afterwards anybody.
Okay. The sponsors argued that given the economic carnage inflicted by coronavirus, Congress needed to think bigger and offer workers, as well as businesses, nonprofits, and local governments of all sizes, a better path forward in this uncertain environment. I'm glad you guys are getting around to that fucking mid-May. It's amazing how Democrats, how there's a pandemic, and 4 months later, they snap into action. Just like that, they snap into action. Interestingly, an analysis by Moody's chief economist, Mark Zandi, he estimated that the net cost of the program would be $654 billion over 6 months, which is actually less than the 2 rounds of small business loans approved by Congress as part of the Paycheck Protection Program. Another interesting feature of the proposal would have taken out banks as the intermediary to disperse payments, instead facilitating payments straight from the IRS to employers. But they didn't. They left banks in as the intermediary. Exclusion of the Paycheck Guarantee Act led to a mini rebellion. Hang on. Led to a mini rebellion, with progressives initially threatening to vote against the HEROES Act. Most members eventually fell in line with Speaker Nancy Pelosi and voted in favor of the HEROES bill.
Well, it must be a good bill. It says heroes, so it must be a good bill.
A mini rebellion. Progressives threatening to vote against it, not threatening to go to the press or call a press conference or call out their leadership or blah, blah, blah. Nothing. Just vote against it. A bill that's a wish list. The HEROES Act included a proposal for a second round of direct payments to Americans, $1,200 for an individual and $2,400 for joint filers, and $1,200 for up to 3 dependents. Pelosi and Democrats chose the single payment route instead of recurring stimulus payments that would have provided ongoing relief for up to 12 months. Nancy Pelosi is screwing you on purpose. Nancy Pelosi is governing exactly like Mitch McConnell or Newt Gingrich. And the Democrats aren't calling her out. They're not saying a goddamn, they're not doing nothing. Representative Ro Khanna and Tim Ryan had introduced the Emergency Money for the People Act, which had attracted increasing support from other House Democrats. Other similar proposals were introduced by Pramila Jayapal and Rashida Tlaib in the House, as well as by counterparts in the Senate, including proposals by Ed Markey and Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders that would provide a monthly $2,000 check to those struggling to make ends meet during the COVID-19 pandemic. As argued in previous column, there is a looming disconnect between the sluggish speed of recovery and the duration of unemployment benefits that were included in the $2 trillion CARES Act passed by Congress. This problem could have been solved through the use of automatic stabilizers, which would have tied federal aid to economic conditions, meaning, hey, we're going to keep giving people money as long as the economy sucks. But as soon as the economy gets better, we're going to scale back. So you tie it to how the economy's doing. You don't just go, we're going to give you this payment and then, well, we'll have to come back over and over and over and have this goddamn debate while people are waiting. You see? Nancy Pelosi doesn't care about you. Nancy Pelosi's your enemy just as much as Ted Cruz is your enemy and Donald Trump is your enemy. Nancy Pelosi is your enemy. And the progressives in Congress are her lapdogs. Lapdogs. So congratulations, Justice Democrats, our revolution, brand new Congress. Congratulations for staying inside this party. You've accomplished nothing. Absolutely nothing. At a time that is tailor-made for you people, you tucked your tail and did nothing. You're worthless. Use of stabilizers. They wouldn't use stabilizers. So this is the important thing. The use of stabilizers would have removed the need to continuously pass additional legislation for more aid. Instead, automatically extending the aid, such as enhanced unemployment insurance, until the economy recovers. That's what other countries have done. We're not doing it here. Why? Because Nancy Pelosi is a rapacious oligarch, 100-millionaire criminal who is a sociopath. Nancy Pelosi is a sociopath. Every much of Donald Trump is, Nancy Pelosi is. Every bit. She's a bigger phony because Trump doesn't pretend as much as she does. The Worker Relief and Security Act, introduced by Senators Michael Bennet and Jack Reed, along with Representative Don Beyer, aimed to align relief with the span of the COVID-19 pandemic, as opposed to allowing benefits to lapse after a fixed period of time. So you go, hey, we're going to have relief. Let's make it for the span of this crisis, instead of having it end when we still have a crisis, and then we all have to come back together and figure out another plan. Let's just keep it going. However, this proposal, along with the automatic stabilizers of any kind, were left out of the HEROES Act by Nancy Pelosi. And the Democrats took it. All those things were left out of the HEROES Act. That's their wish list. The Republicans don't even get to vote it down. They didn't even present it. Nancy Pelosi wouldn't even present it. Instead, the bill would simply extend the enhanced unemployment benefits through January 2021. Problems with the CARES Act weren't limited to eligibility or duration of funding. They also involved executional mistakes. Well, the process of delivering funds to individuals and small businesses was riddled with friction and complexity. No kidding. Unbelievable. You know, the $5 trillion that went to the richest people, no problem. The Fed cuts you a check, it's there. Everybody else, us poor suckers, workers and small business people, had to go through reams and reams, and the banks had to, oh my God. Many individuals have still not received their stimulus checks from the CARES Act. Others received checks, but for a lower amount than expected, and are being told by the IRS that they won't be able to receive the difference until 2021 when they filed their taxes. That's what Nancy Pelosi thinks about you. Fuck you. That's what she thinks about you. And all those progressives that you voted for, and the Justice Democrats and brand new Congress, and all, they all said the same thing. They're not fighting for you whatsoever. Instead of spending over 18,000 pages on futile proposals, many not germane to the coronavirus pandemic, it would have behooved Democrats to develop proposals to deliver funds more quickly and more accurately to Americans. But that's not what Nancy Pelosi did. And there was, I think, eight votes against it from Democrats. One progressive voted against it. Now, the Democrats that voted against it, 7 out of the 8, were moderates, and they were doing so because they were going to face tough Republican opposition. So they're going to vote again. They're not going to do the right thing. They're acting like people don't want stimulus. It's just nuts. So those are the Democrats. Abby Finkhauer, Axne Cynthia, Sharice Davids, Jared Golden, Xochitl Torres Small, Joe Cunningham, Ben McAdams, Elaine Luria, Abigail Spangberger, and Jayapal, Pramila Jayapal. 1-1. So good for her. She voted against it. It's about 4 months too late, Pramila. You know that, though, right? Yeah, of course you do. And still won't call out Nancy Pelosi. It's amazing. What are you guys afraid of? What is she going to do, ground you? What's she going to do, send you to bed without dinner? She's not going to let you date somebody? What are you afraid of? I have no idea what they're afraid of, but they are cowards. They are cowards. And hey, at least she voted against it. At least Pramila Jayapal voted against it, so you got to that's better than all the rest of the progressives. This is what Pramila Jayapal said when she voted against it. She goes, at the core, our response from Congress must match the true scale of this devastating crisis. The HEROES Act, while it contains many important provisions, simply fails to do that. Again, doesn't mention not one word about Nancy Pelosi or why it's doing that, or why you guys are passing that shitty bill, why it's not in there, why people are still having to wait for money, why we're not going to get relief, or why America's turning into Brazil. Not one goddamn thing about it. She acts like it's just another thing. Jayapal was the only member of the Progressive Congressional Caucus to vote against the bill, though 9 other PCC's lawmakers didn't even vote. So here's Sagar, and he makes the point very briefly what I've been saying. The progressives there's no fight. There's no fight in them. You might as well vote for a Republican. There's no point. Here's what he says.
I'm not convinced that fighting hard won't pay off massive dividends. Why is AOC the person who raises the most amount of money in the House? She doesn't take one single dollar. She's never dialed for a dollar once.
Right.
She never has to.
Right.
Her entire life.
But there's two sides to that coin.
Yeah.
So why is she taking orders from people who do? There's no answer to that. She's protecting her committee assignments like Bernie is? Is that how shallow these people are? I just think AOC's a climber in the party, man. That's all she is. She's Barack Obama 2.0.
I'm not convinced that fighting hard won't pay off massive dividends. Why is AOC the person who raises the most amount of money in the House? She doesn't take one single dollar. She's never dialed for a dollar once.
Right.
She never has to.
Right.
Her entire life.
But there's two sides to that coin. Yeah. She's also hated.
Exactly.
She's loved and she's hated.
Right.
Like you have to have both.
But that's what you have to do.
Yes.
That's how you get real power. I mean, look,
Yeah, she's hated by her political enemies. That's how it's supposed to work if you're getting anything done. That's great. You should be happy. Judge a man not by the friends he has made, but by the enemies he keeps. That's what John F. Kennedy said. That there never before in the history of humankind has organized money been more what is now I can't remember the quote. United. Organized, but more united in their hatred of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I welcome their hate. That's FDR. That's fucking politics. It's not new.
Kana was going to go on MSNBC and villainize Nancy Pelosi, I guarantee you he would raise like $1 million in a 2-day period.
It's a great point. Anybody doing that, anybody who comes out against the establishment is going to be an instant success. In fact, the last guy who did it is now fucking president. But the Democrats just won't do it because what the Republicans have said about the Democrats, they are chosen to be weak. They are chosen to lose.
People want to hear it. People want to hear it.
Love it.
Yes.
Same with Pramila Jayapal. A strongly worded letter, offhanded comment to CNN. They don't care, man. I mean, that's
It's not even a strongly worded letter. It's like, we have some concern.
Right. Pelosi knows she can roll these people all day. And then at the end of the day, they're not going to do anything.
And at the end of the day, they're not going to do anything. And they, guess what? They don't do anything. Crystal and Sagar are 100% right. Crystal and Sagar are 100% right. They don't do anything. I can't wait to get close enough to yell at them physically. I can't wait. I was going to go to the Democratic convention this year. I couldn't wait to get in their faces with a camera. I can't wait to get in their faces with a camera. I can't do it now, coronavirus. Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then I would tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?